lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and I am here to talk about a book that the minute it was announced, I was already fucking stoked for, and it's Batman Gargoyle of Gotham by Rafael Grampá with Matheus Lopez on coloring. I love first of all, I'll just get this out of the way. I love the fact that this was released on Batman Day, which has been going on for a few years now, but usually on Batman Day you get some reprints. Maybe you get, like a teaser for a new storyline. But for the most part, it's been kind of nothing super special to kind of kick off that day that DC's been promoting for the past few years. But this is the first time where we get, there's some variants for like collections, some trade, a reprint, a foil of like the Batman 608. But the best thing to come out of this is definitely this. And to have a new release on a day that's not Wednesday is really unique in comics. I don't think we rarely see that. Well, I guess Tuesdays is when DC releases, but this is such a great idea, and I hope that this is something maybe DC does moving forward with this, and if they have other days they're celebrating releasing a new thing, it'll get people into the stores. It'll kind of create more of a buzz. And this book not only has this regular edition, but there's also a noir edition. Now, anybody that knows the DC noir editions, they're black and white. So you can see the difference here. And I'm just going to go through the regular edition today. But if the noir editions are for you, like they are for me, I definitely recommend picking up both because it's really great to see Raphael's art with just the black and white. So this is definitely a darker version of Batman than we've seen in a very long time. I don't want to make the comparison, but to me this feels what could be as definitive of a take as Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, because this is so different and completely stands on its own. I feel like this has the makings of a perennial story that people will revisit over and over again. So you see like this Gotham, and first of all, Raphael's art is amazing, and that is definitely for me the huge draw. I don't think I've read anything by him, but his art is just next level. So we see this like grimy, dirty Gotham, like drugs, prostitution, child pornography, people like in chains. And while this is all going on, there's like they're making dynamite in here with like all sorts of chemicals, and you see this guy sitting in a room drawing with this old projector. And this story is really about this serial killer called Crytune, and we're gonna see a full page of him soon. But I love the dialogue of Batman. This is, as we're gonna see too, like this is a Batman that's kind of new to it, and he can get pretty violent in here. And he's definitely I like he's working more in the shadows, like you can't see him. I think that is a great aspect of Batman that we don't necessarily see utilized as much. Like this is definitely back to the roots of like what Batman was originally when he was conceived in the 40s. I love this too, like how we're just getting the reaction of this criminal, right? And then the fingers in the eyes is just insane. And I turn it into the thing he'll see for the last time until he recovers. But this terrifying memory will become a wound that never heals. This is their life-changing moment, the moment they beg for a second chance and start to believe in God for sparing them. But this is not his work. God doesn't go to the same place as I do. I mean, this is some phenomenal writing. This is the serial killer, Crytune. And even getting so much as like a redesign of this Batman costume. I love his take on it. I love the shape of the cowl, how it looks layered. And then you have this on the spine going up his neck. Definitely like a mix of like the fabric, but then also a lot of high-tech stuff into his costume. So leaning in also to like his detective work and his brain, looking as he surveys the room, the chemicals, and realizing what they're making. And then we get introduced to this villain who is creepy as hell. And just there's something about, like, I love how it goes from color to straight black and white as Batman enters this room. and sees all this stuff. And now we're getting the inner dialogue of Crytune as well. And this stark red against the black and white is just amazing. And even the lettering, the way the lettering changes for this particular villain, I really dug that. And I love how, while this is black and white, the minute that camera goes off, it's now full color again. And you just see Batman get the shit beat out of him. Hammer to the face, hammer to the back of the head. The lettering for the onomatopoeias too is really great. And like this is definitely, because we're dealing with a younger Batman, we're seeing him. He's not the Batman that's like kind of infallible. He's getting taken down pretty systematically in a way that you rarely see Batman. And again, the inner dialogue, he drags me into his suicidal choreography while whispering a deadly lullaby in my ear. Nothing to lose, nothing to win, nothing to hide. Nothing but the real face of pain. And I finally find something true in Gotham. So Batman's knocked out for a while, right? Gets up. And he's able to his suit is so high tech that he's able to increase his hearing so he can see what's going on. Here's the ticking of the bomb, get this explosion. Batman's left in there, but he makes it out as he calls to Alfred. This is a young Jim Gordon. We have him as a detective. He's not the commissioner yet, so we're getting more of a feel of how corrupt still the police are in Gotham City. That they're seeing the puncture marks of the way that this guy was killed. And that's something also that we're seeing too, is that they're investigating the rich, but the poor are kind of left to themselves and like they don't matter. So we're definitely seeing the contrast here in this, which is being reported by this woman who did a video and put it on the social channels. Her boss is not having it. You can't be putting this stuff on. Even after I deleted the unauthorized video, it went viral. And now your stupid hashtag is becoming a fucking movement, is what she tells her, because she starts off this hashtag of speak up for them and let's make our voices heard. So she's speaking up for the poor who are otherwise ignored. So many of them were killed, but nobody's paying attention. It's only these 4 wealthy people. So it's really showing this battle between the poor and the rich in terms of nobody caring, which I feel like is definitely speaks to society as a whole and what has always been prevalent in society for years and years and years. And now we get Bruce in the Batcave, and he's trying to figure out what this villain is about and how he's mimicking a character and his violent cartoon gags, which is why he's calling himself Crytoon. Bruce is saying I was saved by the technology that you practically forced me to invest in, wasn't I? And even Alfred's like, well, and the scars and bruises would say otherwise. And this is where the story takes an interesting turn, because this is Batman basically saying he wants to kill Bruce Wayne. He wants to shed himself of that identity. He wants to be Batman full time, because that's the only way that he can fulfill that promise he made on his parents' graves, that he would basically eradicate the evil that took them from him. Planning the public death of Bruce Wayne. And Alfred, you can't... I will not allow Batman to suppress Bruce Wayne. It's too late. So, he's already come up with the headlines of what it's going to look like when he kills Bruce Wayne. So that's something we'll see the back and forth of between, Bruce and Alfred throughout this issue, of him, not wanting to allow Batman to completely take over the identity from, Bruce Wayne. Get this great back and forth between Detective Gordon and Batman, and saying if I'd had access to the bodies, we would have discovered all this a long time ago, because now they're discovering how these deaths are connected, what the specific puncture wounds are in the neck, even so much as the way he's killing them. He wanted them to be spectators to their own murders. So this is a very, very dark book, but just beautifully executed by Rafael Grampá. I can't even describe how stoked I am to kind of see where this goes from here. These are the type of projects that I love when DC and Marvel do, where you get a very singular vision from a cartoonist, where writing and drawing, so it's purely them. they're giving you their pure, unfiltered vision of what they perceive these characters as, right? Like we've seen it more recently with, Tradmore on Silver Surfer, Doctor Strange, right? That's what was so great about Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. And, also from DC recently, we had a Daniel Warren Johnson Wonder Woman book, Dead Earth, which was great. So these are the type of projects that I would love to see more of out of Black Label. I like that it's in its own continuity. It's not bogged down by anything else. You're letting the creatives do what they want to do. I mean, at least for the most part. I'm sure that, there's certain lines maybe that can't be crossed, but that's the great thing about Black Label, that you are able to kind of push it a little bit further than you would in regular continuity. And these are scenes I always love, and we don't really get it in the current continuity, is the interactions between Gordon and Batman, and how, Gordon being an officer of the law, teaming up with a vigilante inherently is wrong. But is it really wrong considering how corrupt the police are? No. Getting to see them back and forth, trying to decipher what's going on and who the serial killer could be and the connections. Like, I love this detective work that's going on. And then we jump into Crytoon again, and he's got this producer that owns the animation for that cartoon that he is obsessed with. And even here, like when he's like, here's what I have in my mind, let me see that genius mind of yours. And the guy that's tied up is even like, are you crying, son? I can see you don't want to do this. And he says, my cry only foreshadows your own. And again, like I said, we're going to have Alfred going back and forth with Batman about whether or not he should, end the Bruce Wayne identity. And then he talks about something called the blind machine. It's time to test it. And we'll figure out what that is moving forward. But, he wants to go to the creator of the show to get some of the animation or the film reels of the show, so that he can kind of try to deduce who this killer is and try to like work the case that way. But he said, as Alfred tells him to go as Bruce Wayne, he's like, no, that's nice call, but you're gonna go in. Try getting used to calling me Batman. So he sends Alfred to do this detective work, and Alfred has no luck. We get James Gordon again going into the prison to interrogate this guy that was in the cell with this Dr. Franz Ebner, who goes by Dr. Geist, but he doesn't get anything from there. Again, some more detective work going on. I won't spoil too much of that. Then we find out what the blind machine is, and it's this version of the Batmobile, which is awesome. I love the design. It doesn't, look like any Batmobile really that we've seen before. Maybe even, I guess you could say there's a mashup of a bunch of different ones, but really dug this. I love that he even in the Batmobile, he leaves him a slice of cake. Stay strong, Bruce Wayne. So Alfred's just not letting it go. It's these kind of little things that I love seeing in comics, where like the image is speaking for itself. So he gets into this warehouse. He's into the lair of Crytoon. Once again, man, he increases his hearing, which I think is a really cool way to show how he's using his cowl. The infrared vision, increasing hearing by 50%. Boom, gets taken out again. Crytoon's got the reel in his pocket. Some guy tries to stop him. That ain't gonna happen. Batman wakes up and calls the blind machine, aka the Batmobile, to him so he can chase Crytoon. And this is a great car chase scene. I love this. I love the use of, showing the target system from there. Puts it on autopilot, and this is such a great shot. This is a money shot right there, man. Jumping out of there, going after Crytoon. I love I didn't mention it, but the coloring on this book is phenomenal as well. It's hard to, I love color comics, but I really love black and white comics, and I think that it was so smart to release both versions at the same time, because, look, I have both, right? I didn't have to get both, but I couldn't pass up a chance to have both. Love the shot of this too, where you're seeing the Batmobile in different angles coming through, like his grappling hook. And I love that it's like multiple lines coming out from his gauntlet. I thought that was pretty dope too. And then I won't spoil this, but we see some an interesting connection that takes place towards the end of this book between Crytoon and Batman. And and we are going to see moving forward how that's going to play out in the book. But I won't spoil too much. I know I kind of maybe gave away more than I should have, but I love this book so much. It's maybe, I'll say, tied for my favorite book that came out this week. Go pick it up. Hit up your shop. I'm sure they're going to have plenty of copies, even though this was released on the weekend. This is a book that I'm going to say now, this will be a perennial DC book that is something I know I will revisit, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So go hit up your shop, pick up the book, and while you're at it, make sure you follow us on social media. Links are down below. Hit the subscribe button so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.